Good morning, one and all. This is Ray from Next Forex Trade. Today is Wednesday, the 11th of September 2019. It's just gone 6:20 a.m. here in the UK, and let me kick off. I'm here to teach, not preach Forex. So let's crack on. So first of all, let's talk about the position that I took, that I talked about getting out at break even yesterday. So this is the AUDCAD. Excuse me. This pair had some very nice signs of bearishness overall, which was one of the premises for me entering this. We can see on the daily, first of all, some nice lower lows, lower highs. The price is encapsulated here within our standard deviation channel, and it was in an over bought area, giving us signs that the price could revert to the mean, come back and move lower. And we also had a nice reference point for my stop loss above this resistance that the price was showing. So all was looking good on the daily. So looked to the lower time frames for the premise for an entry. And I'm going to go to the hourly for this. And if I just put on what my positions are or were, one sec. So this was AUDCAD. Okay, so I had initially got in at this level here, so I'm just going to add these in. That was the entry time, that was the exit. So when I entered this, overall, as it is now, the higher time frame was showing some nice signs of bearishness. 4 hourly was great as well. I mean, that's the same price action that was echoed there. There was this resistance here giving the reference for stop loss. The lower time frames weren't super great in terms of they weren't all showing lower lows and lower highs, but there was enough premise for an entry. Now, what I will often do is have a stop loss placement that gives me breathing room. You can see my stop level initially on this was above these previous highs, so above that resistance we were seeing on the daily. Back on the hourly here, by the way. So it was in a sensible place. Should the price start to break those highs, I'd be out of the market. My take profit initially was on a 1-to-1, so it would mean it was around about this kind of level here. Right, so that was the structure of the initial entry. Entered here. Oh, let's put that in. Take profit here, stop loss here. Now, what the price started to do was make, after my entry, it was to start to make these higher high movements, not long after my entry as well. So we can see if we take this move here, which would have been the premise for the entry, I wouldn't have had this information here, obviously. And it just didn't start to move down in the way that I'd want it to in order for this trade to make sense. In fact, it started to make these higher highs, came up near this level here, double topped, moved it away again. So the advantage of having a stop loss where I had it is it gives me more outs, more opportunities to protect my my money, my capital. And the way that I managed this is when the price didn't start to do what I would have liked it to do in order to hit my profit target, I decided to move the stop loss to break even. So I moved it here. And you can see the price, fluctuated about, came down. I was stopped out near, at my my entry, just beyond it, in fact, and roughly got out at break even on this. And that's one of the the beauties of trading is that you have options. I'm not saying move your stop loss. What's most important here is I didn't move my stop loss to give it more wiggle room. This was my original stop here. I wasn't going like this and saying, oh no, it's coming towards the stop, let me move it up a bit, let me move it up a bit, let me move it up a bit. That's a surefire way to lose money. There was a clear indication of where I'd be wrong on this. So my movement of the take profit was merely to protect the capital because the price wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And by just heeding that, it meant that I was able to break even on this and protect my capital. And viably, if this price action starts to form as I need it to on these lower time frames, this is certainly something I would consider getting on again. But I would just like to see this formulate, you know, with clearer lower lows and lower highs in the price action, because as a reference point for stop loss above these highs still makes absolute sense. So it's just waiting for that opportunity to materialize, so that I can jump on the back of it if the opportunity should arise again. So that was the AUDCAD. Let's see what else there is in the market. So this is AUD Swissy. No. And just a quick overview of the strategy as well. What I'm looking at firstly is always the daily, looking for signs of a trend, so lower lows, lower highs. I use a standard deviation around the price to determine whether the price is in overbought or oversold region. So if it's going in a downtrend, I want the price to be overbought to give the best value for money. So in this upper area here, if it's in an uptrend, it's the reverse. I want it to be in this lower area here and the price to be moving up, obviously. So the price would be oversold in that instance with the likelihood of moving higher. And then I also look to the other time frames as well, 4 hourly, 1 hour, 15, 5, for signs that they're agreeing with the higher time frame. So that time frame agreement means that if I do place a trade, it just improves the probability of the trade going in my favor because all of the time frames are saying the same thing. So at the moment, definitely bearish on AUDCHF, but timing on this is wrong for me. It's certainly in this overbought kind of area here, which is good, but there are no real signs of reversal as of yet. So it's waiting on that to occur before deciding to enter on something like this. So next, AUDJPY, similar story, overbought, nice signs, potentially hitting previous support to potentially reverse, but there's no definitive signs of reversal in the previous candles. This is still saying it's in a retrace for me, so I need signs of reversal first of all. So this is AUDUSD. This is overall, I'm bearish on this. It's encountering this previous support here, this zonal support and resistance area here, this previous high here is resistance. So it is encountering, it's coming into this kind of resistance zone, but for me there still aren't any definitive signs of reversal of yet. So that's not really something that I would want to jump on the back of just yet. No, this isn't tradable. No clear trend to that to make it tradable. No. This here is my Swissy JPY trade. Still happy with this. It is running at a loss at the moment, but the price structure on this is still pretty solid. If we start, as long as we start to see some reverses soon. I mean, my stop's in a sensible place. It's outside of the standard deviation. It's above this previous, what I'm deeming lower high. The price at the moment is kind of the upper edge of the standard deviation. So I would anticipate in the coming hours that if I am right on this, that we should see some signs of reversal soon. But there is still the likelihood that I get stopped out on this. If I do, no problem. This trade stacked in terms of what the reward to risk was when I entered it. But if we do start to see signs of reversal, what I'd like to see is the price on these lower time frames starting to make lower lows and lower highs, and it's certainly something that I would be willing to scale into. So at the moment there's about 2%, 2.5% risk on this at the moment. So overall I'd be willing to go to the upper edge of my risk threshold on this, the 3%, but the price would need to show me some more definitive bearishness on these lower time frames first of all before I were to consider that, because at the moment these are all very bullish. So it's just wait and see on this one. This could be one I get stopped out on today, or that, you know, it might not, and I might be able to scale into this later, but we'll just have to see how that materializes. So next, AUD, bullish on this, high highs, high lows, but no clear signs of reversal, so pass on that. Next, no definitive trend in this, so pass. In this one, some nice signs of reversal off of this level. It's not quite tradable yet, but just gonna break it down to see what could be possible. The way this previous, so this here is in a you've seen these lower highs, lower lows. It's in this oversold area in terms of standard deviation, so it's potentially overbought. We've got a nice reference point for our stop loss above these previous lower high and resistance area. That this level here also goes back. You can see here previous zonal resistance that the price was seeing here, previous support, resistance, so it could have a lot of trouble moving higher than that in today's market. And just to see if this has any context as well in terms of Fibonacci, I don't know if I'd done this yesterday, probably would have seen, yep, so that has some reference in terms of being a 23% retrace on our Fibonacci retrace. So this kind of is another piece of evidence to help us decipher that the price could move lower. So we've got, you know, multiple compounding things here. We've got it being overbought, it hitting resistance, it hitting the resistance of the 23.6 Fibonacci level. There's a good probability that this would reverse, but really it's just seeing that show itself in these lower time frames as well. I mean, what's good about the hourly and the other lower time frames, let's just have a look. It has double topped, does look like it could fall away from that level, but for me that's not enough. So this level here, come on, this level here has come up, hit it, fallen away, come up to it again. So this move down here is a potential sign that the price is going to be moving down, but for me that isn't enough just yet. What I would want to see on these lower time frames, at least the 15 or the 5, start to see lower lows and lower highs, something you could put a standard deviation around to give some context to this price moving away. And yeah, there'd be a nice entry on this, stop above this level. And I mean, the profit targets on this definitely stack. If you were to get in a nice tight entry that with at that kind of level, your position would be quite big, meaning that, you know, even on a 1-to-1 reward to risk, you'd be hitting it here, and you know, all the potential profit to the downside. I would say before these previous lows here would be a good time to consider taking money off the table, if not all of it off the table. So that definitely stacks, and there's a good reward to risk in that. But for the more conservative trade, it's just waiting for the lower time frames to show its cards first of all. So yeah, Euro Swissy is looking good. What else we got? Euro GBP, no. Say bullish on this overall, but no signs of real reversal. This most recent move here as well that we've got captured in the 4-hourly is quite bearish. So I would want to see some signs of it moving higher before considering going long on that. No. No. For further explanation, rather than labour the point again today, have a look at yesterday's video. I went into this in depth in that, I think. So no for Euro. GBP AUD, no. Yes, is looking all right. GBPCAD. Similar thing to the same trade I was in on the AUDCAD, where we're seeing this crazy amount of resistance in these previous highs here, and that probably goes back as well, yeah, to these kind of zonal areas support here. So it's you know, it's obviously crossed with the AUD as well, so It's going to have similar features. Sorry, it's a cross with the CAD. So it's going to have similar setup features. But let's just see what the retrace is on that. I don't think that's... interestingly, yeah, it's bang on the 23 as well. Thereabouts. So yeah, go back in the video to the beginning where I talked about the AUDCAD, because this is a similar setup, and there's some compounding factors that make it possible that the price could find it much harder moving than this level here, moving much higher. So stops above there, profit targets 1-to-1 are viable, but for a more conservative trade it would be about waiting for these lower time frames to roll over and start showing low lows, low highs. No. Ooh. No. No. This needs better signs of reversal, same as those other as the CAD crosses that I was talking about. This support here, previous resistance. This is even better because it's coming into contact with our upper edge, or most of our standard deviation, giving more credence that the price could be overbought and start to move down again. But it's still a case of waiting for these the price structure on these lower time frames to break, really, to see, for example, these these previous lows. I would even say this previous low here get broken, because that would also break through the standard deviation and give context to lower lows and lower highs, so that the standard deviation would move down like this rather than up like that. But it is just a case of waiting for, like I said, breaks of these previous lows would be a good context. So yeah, potential, but not quite right, not quite ready yet. Oh, this looks good. NZDCAD. Yeah, I'm going to consider entering this. Probably when I'm offline. Let's just see. Apology for any pauses in this, because a lot of the time I'm just looking at these whilst talking them through with you guys, so it can be the first time I'm seeing it. So it's just my thought process really as I go through each of the pairs. So what's good about the NZDCAD is this recent move here is quite overbought. We've seen reversals off of this previous kind of resistance level as well. So interacted with our standard deviation. It's moved away. It's found resistance. There's some zonal kind of support and resistance as well around that level, giving some indication the price could move lower. What worries me slightly is taking the context of the bigger move. So this will have more weight, if you like, on the weekly. So from this move here to this move here, is that the price is only at its average here in the context of this move, whereas in this move it's at the extreme of the standard deviation. So what that suggests is if the price were to break this, there's still scope to the upside to around these levels, and those levels have stronger, if we look where these previous lows here were, there's more reason for it to potentially go to that level and then find resistance because of what we were seeing here, and then to fall away and move lower. So yes, I'd still be bearish on this, but the question is timing. Well, I think it's more a question of risk in this instance, because of that added factor of taking into consideration the bigger potential move, and this not necessarily being as strong a resistance level. It wouldn't be one that I'd be willing to put the full 3% in. So it's still good in considering that the price could fall away and, you know, approach these lows here. So it's good for 1%, upper 2%, but probably not 3% because of the just awareness of what it's doing on the weekly time frame. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this. I like overall everything that's happening here. Let me just, it's broken its standard deviation here. It's broken through, so really start to see it move much lower. So that would give yeah, these, yeah, I'll be happy to short this with I'm going to wait for a bit into the European session just to make sure that these continue to show signs of bearishness and it doesn't move much higher than this previous support here and starts to move lower. But I'll definitely consider shorting this. Stops above these previous highs, and you know, 1-to-1 gives a nice profit target, but it's all determined on what the price action does in the next few hours really. So just going to wait on that. NZDCAD, no. Next. Oh, what's going on there? NZDUSD, bearish. Some nice resistance here, but I think these lines I've put in from yesterday, it's just finding crazy support here. I'd want it to break lower than that support first of all and start producing lower lows, lower highs on our lower time frames before considering shorts on this. And there's probably better setups out there. So pass on that for today. No. USD CAD, USD Swissy. Yes, just it's definitely bearish, definitely producing lower lows, lower highs. It's just a bit choppy in its most recent price action. So it's moving a bit sideways, and all these lower time frames are still well, these are saying this is bullish for hourly. Our hourly is encountering crazy resistance here. You can see it's fallen away, it's tested it, fallen away, testing it again, testing it now. So this is definitely quite a significant level, because we can see it even tracing back even further in the daily. We can see how much trouble this price has had surpassing this level. So gives a reference for our stop loss above those types of levels. You know, above even here would make sense, but for it to be more conservative for me, I would just want these lower time frames to start showing their cards. So to break this previous price structure where we've got these higher highs, higher lows, to break past those lows, this previous low, that would make more sense. So bearish on this overall, but again, just it's a timing thing. It's not ready yet. What's this? USDJPY. No signs of reversal, although bearish overall. No clear signs of reversal yet. And Bitcoin. Okay, no, that's it. Okay, so yep. Any questions on that, feel free to leave a comment, and I will be back tomorrow. Don't forget, if you do want to hear these live and ask me questions whilst it's live streaming, just subscribe along with the notifications, and you can get updated with those as soon as they're going live. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.